Dear viewers, this is a part 2 of this story. If you have not watched part 1, kindly click on the link below to do so. The night was heavy in Oakville. The moon was hidden behind thick clouds, and the sound of crickets filled the air. Evelyn lay beside her mother, who was already asleep, but sleep refused to come to her eyes. Her mind kept going back to the humiliation at the market, the whispers of witchcraft, and the angry eyes of Clara. She turned to her mother's side and whispered, "Mama, are you awake?" Her mother stirred weakly, her voice soft. "Sleep, my child. God will fight for us." Evelyn sighed and closed her eyes, but her heart beat fast. Suddenly, knock, 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 came a sound on the wooden door. Evelyn sat up immediately, her blood running cold. "Mama, did you hear that?" she whispered, shaking her mother. Her mother opened her eyes slowly. Who could it be at this hour? The knock came again, louder this time. Bam, bam, bam. Fear gripped the two women. No one visited at midnight unless it was bad news or something worse. "Stay here," Evelyn whispered, though her legs were trembling. She picked up a small lantern, lit it, and tiptoed to the door. "Who is it?" she asked, her voice shaking. No answer, only silence. Then, as she turned to go back, a deep voice came from outside. Backhand index pointing right. "Open the door, or you will regret it." Evelyn's mother gasped and sat up, her hands trembling. "Don't open it, my child." Before Evelyn could decide, the door burst open with a loud crash. Two masked men stormed inside, holding sticks and ropes. Evelyn screamed, shielding her mother. "What do you want?" she cried. One of the men hissed, "Keep quiet, or you will not see tomorrow." They grabbed Evelyn roughly, tie her hand with a rope. Her mother jumped to her feet, crying, "Leave my daughter, please, she has done nothing." The second man pushed her back, and she fell against the wall, crying in pain. Evelyn struggled, tears flowing down her face. "Please, I am not a witch. Why are you doing this to me?" The first man laughed harshly. "We don't care what you are. Our master said you must be taught a lesson." Just as they dragged Evelyn toward the door, something unexpected happened. The mask of the second man slipped as he bent down to tighten the rope. The lantern light fell on his face. Evelyn gasped. "You? I know you." It was Tund, one of Chief Morgan's guards, a man well known in the village for being close to Clara's family. The guard froze, eyes wide. "Keep quiet," he barked, quickly pulling the mask back. But it was too late. Evelyn had seen him. Her mother shouted, "So it is you people. You are the evil ones tormenting my daughter." The men panicked. The plan was only to scare Evelyn and not to be recognized. In that moment of confusion, Evelyn kicked one of them hard in the leg and screamed loudly, "Help! Somebody help us!" Her voice pierced the silent night. From a distance, footsteps pounded quickly. A torch appeared. It was Daniel. He had been restless at his own house, unable to sleep, and had decided to check on Evelyn. "Stop there!" he shouted, charging forward. The two men, startled, released Evelyn and dashed out of the house into the darkness. Daniel chased them, but they escaped into the bush. Breathing heavily, he returned to the house where Evelyn was crying in her mother's arms. His face was burning with anger. "Evelyn, are you hurt?" he asked. She shook her head, still sobbing. "Daniel, it was Tund. I saw his face. He works for Chief Morgan." Daniel's eyes blazed. "So it is true. They are behind this wickedness." That night, Daniel knelt before Evelyn and her mother. His voice shook with emotion. "I swear before God and man, I will not rest until the truth comes out. Evelyn, I will protect you, no matter the cost. Even if the whole village turns against me, I will not let you fall." Evelyn's tears flowed again, but this time it was not only fear, it was also gratitude. She held his hand tightly, whispering, "Thank you, Daniel. If not for you tonight, I would be gone." Her mother raised her hands to the heavens. "O Lord, arise and fight for my child. Enough is enough." Morning broke slowly in Oakville. The sun climbed lazily, but the village was already awake with gossip. The story of the midnight attack on Evelyn's hut had spread like wildfire. At the stream, women fetching water whispered in groups. "Did you hear? Evelyn was almost taken away by masked men." "Yes, but she said she saw Tun's face. Isn't he Chief Morgan's guard?" If that is true, then all this while we've been accusing her wrongly." The murmurs grew louder. By noon, even the palm wine joints were buzzing with the tale. Some villagers who once laughed at Evelyn now scratched their heads in confusion. A man muttered, "If Chief Morgan's guard was involved, then maybe Evelyn is innocent." Another added, "But why would Chief Morgan want to destroy her? What is he hiding?" The doubt began to spread. For the first time, people stopped pointing at Evelyn as a problem and started questioning Clara and her father. Clara sat with her arms folded in her father's compound with her face dark. She had heard the whispers too. Every time she passed the market, women stared at her differently. Some even covered their mouths to hide giggles. "Papa," Clara snapped, pacing. "They are beginning to suspect us." That foolish guard, Tund, allowed himself to be seen. "Papa," Clara hissed, tying her wrapper tighter. "Calm down. Villagers talk today and forget tomorrow." But Clara shook her head. "No, Papa. If we don't act fast, Evelyn will become the victim who turned into a hero, and then we will lose completely." Meanwhile, Daniel walked boldly through the village with Evelyn by his side, though some still whispered, and many now looked at them with curiosity instead of hatred. At the village square, Daniel stopped and spoke loudly. "My people, how long will you keep believing lies? Evelyn is innocent. Last night, men sent by Chief Morgan attacked her. I saw it with my own eyes." Gasps filled the crowd. Women placed hands on their heads. A few elders frowned deeply. Someone asked, "Daniel, are you saying our own chief planned this?" Daniel's voice was firm. "Yes, he will rather destroy Evelyn than admit the truth, but I will not allow it." The villagers murmured among themselves, their faith in Chief Morgan shaking for the first time. That evening, as Evelyn and her mother sat outside, an old woman named Mama Grace walked slowly to them. She was known for her wisdom and sharp tongue. "My daughter," she said to Evelyn, "I have lived in this village long enough to know when evil is brewing. Be careful. Chief Morgan and Clara will not stop easily. Last night's attack was only the beginning." Evelyn bowed respectfully. "Mama Grace, what do I do?" The old woman looked into her eyes. "Hold on to the truth. It always fights for itself. But also watch closely. The snake that hides in the grass only strikes when you are careless." Her words lingered in Evelyn's heart long after the woman left. Chief Morgan in his compound was furious. Tund had confessed privately that Evelyn saw his face. Chief Morgan's staff trembled in his hands as he struck the ground. "Useless man! You have ruined everything," he shouted. Clara tried to calm him. "Father, what do we do now?" Chief Morgan's eyes darkened. "If whispers have started, then we must silence them with something bigger. Something that will bury Evelyn forever." Clara smiled slowly, her wickedness returning. "Then let us finish her once and for all." That night, Evelyn prayed quietly before sleeping. She held her mother's hands and whispered, "God, you saved me from those men. Please, don't let this battle swallow us." But as she closed her eyes, far across the village, Chief Morgan and Clara were already meeting secretly, their voices low, plotting a new scheme, one that would shake Oakville to its very roots. The whispers in Oakville grew stronger by the day. Some people still doubted Evelyn, but many had started to wonder why Chief Morgan was so desperate to destroy her. Daniel's bold words in the square had planted seeds of truth that could no longer be ignored. But in the corner of his compound, Chief Morgan sat with Clara, their heads bent close, whispering in anger. "Father," Clara said, her eyes cold, "the villagers are starting to pity her. If we don't act now, she will become a saint in their eyes." Chief Morgan tapped his staff slowly on the ground, his jaw tight. Then his lips curved into a cruel smile. "Then let us turn pity into hatred. We will trap her with something no one could defend." "What do you mean?" Clara asked eagerly. Chief Morgan leaned closer. "We will make it look like she is a thief. Clara gasped, then began to smile. Yes, if she is caught stealing. Even Daniel will not defend her. The next day, the plan was set in motion. Chief Morgan's servant spread the news that one of the elders' golden bracelets had gone missing. It was a family heirloom, valuable and sacred. The whole village buzzed with the news. By evening, Chief Morgan and Clara spread another whisper. Check Evelyn's house. Who knows what a desperate girl can do? The crowd grew restless. Some villagers marched to Evelyn's house with angry faces. Where is she? Bring her out, they shouted. Evelyn, frightened, stepped outside with her mother. What is it? What have I done again? One of the elders barked. Until we search your house, you will answer nothing. Unbeknownst to Evelyn, earlier that morning as they went to the stream, Clara had sneaked into their hut with the help of one of the guards. She had the missing golden bracelet beneath Evelyn's box. So when the angry villagers stormed in and searched, it did not take long before someone shouted, Here it is, the golden bracelet. Gasps filled the air. Evelyn froze, her knees shaking. No, I don't know how it got there. I swear I have never touched it. But the villagers were already murmuring, This is the second time. She is a disgrace. Her mother cried out, Please, my daughter is innocent. This is a setup. Just then, Daniel arrived, pushing through the crowd. He saw Evelyn on her knees, tears streaming down her face as the golden bracelet lay in front of her. What is happening here? He demanded. She stole it, someone shouted. Daniel bent down, looked at Evelyn's face, then at the bracelet. Slowly, he stood up. His voice was firm. No, Evelyn is not a thief. This is a trap, and I will prove it. The villagers gasped. Prove it? How? Because I know exactly who planted this. The crowd went wild. Some villagers shouted, Leave her. Daniel is right. Others said, No, she must be punished. The bracelet was found in her hut. Clara bit her lip, pretending to cry. Oh, Daniel, why are you blind? She is ruining you. But in her heart, fear was rising. If Daniel could uncover the truth, her perfect plan might collapse. As the crowd argued, Evelyn lifted her hands to the sky, her voice breaking. God of heaven, if I am guilty, let the ground swallow me. But if I am innocent, fight for me and expose the real thieves. Her words silenced the crowd for a moment. Even the wind seemed to pause. Some villagers bowed their heads, whispering, Let us watch. The truth will soon show itself. But Chief Morgan clenched his fist, his eyes dark. Before truth comes, he muttered under his breath, I will finish her myself. The crowd outside Evelyn's hut grew larger. Men, women, and children pressed closer, whispering and pointing at the golden bracelet on the ground. Some spat on the floor in disgust. Others shook their heads in pity. Evelyn knelt on the sand, her tears falling one after the other. Her mother held her shoulders, rocking back and forth, crying loudly, Leave my daughter alone. She has never stolen in her life. Mama Evelyn wailed, but the villagers shouted back, Yen, why was the bracelet in your hut? Innocent people don't hide things. Daniel raised his hand, his eyes blazing with anger. My people, think, when have you ever seen Evelyn steal? She has suffered more than anyone here, and yet she still shares a little food she has. How can you believe she suddenly became a thief? The first time she was accused in the market, the truth was revealed. You people should think, or has anyone tampered with your sense of reasoning? Some villagers nodded slowly, murmuring in agreement, but others still hissed. Talk less, Daniel. Love has blinded you. Daniel stepped forward, his voice louder. If you call this love blindness, then so be it. But mark my words, this is a trap, and I will prove it. Just then, a small figure at the edge of the crowd fidgeted nervously. It was Chica, one of Chief Morgan's younger servants. His eyes darted left and right, his hands shaking. Speak, an elder barked at him. What do you know? Chica trembled, looking around as if afraid. I saw something yesterday. The crowd leaned closer. Evelyn's heart pounded. Chica swallowed hard. I saw Madame Clara near Evelyn's hut. She was carrying something wrapped in cloth. I think she hit in Evelyn's hut. Gasps filled the air. Women placed their hands on their heads. Clara's eyes blazed. She pushed forward, shouting, "Lies! All lies. This boy is trying to destroy me because I once scolded him. Who will believe a mere servant?" Her voice shook slightly, but she quickly forced tears into her eyes. "Daniel, can't you see? This is madness. This girl has bewitched you." But the seed had already been planted. The villagers began to whisper among themselves again, their suspicion shifting like dry leaves in the wind. Elder Jonah, one of the oldest in Oakville, raised his staff and the crowd grew silent. His deep voice carried authority. "This matter cannot be left unsettled. If Evelyn is guilty, she will face punishment. But if she is innocent, the gods will expose the liars. Tomorrow, at the village square, we shall perform a cleansing ritual. Whoever is guilty will not escape." The crowd nodded, murmuring, "Yes, let the truth come out." Evelyn's mother hugged her tightly, whispering, "God has heard your cry, my child." Back in his compound, Chief Morgan's anger boiled. He smashed his drinking gourd on the ground. "Stupid boy," he roared, thinking of Chica. "He has ruined everything." Clara bit her lip, pacing. "Father, what if tomorrow the ritual exposes us? What if—" Silence. Chief Morgan barked, slamming his staff. "We will not allow it. Before the ritual begins, Evelyn will not live to see the sun rise." Clara's eyes widened. "You mean?" Chief Morgan's face hardened. "Tonight we strike again. This time, she will not escape." That evening, Evelyn sat quietly under the mango tree with Daniel. The sky glowed with orange as the sun set. "Daniel," she whispered, "what if tomorrow they still call me guilty?" Daniel took her hand firmly. "Evelyn, I believe in you. Even if the whole world turns against you, I will stand with you." Evelyn's heart swelled with gratitude, but deep in her spirit, she felt a strange chill, as if the night ahead was carrying more danger than she could imagine. The night was quiet in Oakville. The moon hid behind thick clouds, and the wind whistled softly through the trees. In most huts, people were asleep, resting for the cleansing ritual that would take place in the morning. But in Chief Morgan's compound, sleep was far away. Inside his chamber, Chief Morgan sat on a carved chair. Clara knelt at his feet, her eyes sharp and restless. "Father," she whispered, "the villagers already doubt us. If Evelyn steps into that ritual tomorrow, we will be finished." Chief Morgan's eyes narrowed. "That is why she will never step there. Tonight, her life ends." He clapped his hands, and two of his strongest guards, men with scarred faces and hard eyes, entered the room. "You know what to do," Chief Morgan said coldly. "By dawn, Evelyn must no longer be alive." The men nodded and bowed, their machetes gleaming faintly in the firelight. As the guards left, Clara's hands trembled slightly. "But father, what if they catch us? What if Daniel finds out?" Chief Morgan leaned closer, his voice a hiss. "Clara, listen to me. Power is not for the weak. Once Evelyn is gone, Daniel will have no choice but to marry you. Fear is your enemy. Do you understand?" Clara swallowed hard, then nodded. "Yes, father." But deep inside her heart, fear and guilt wrestled with her ambition. Meanwhile, Evelyn could not sleep. She sat outside her hut, staring at the dark sky, her mother asleep on the mat inside. Her heart was heavy, but she whispered a soft prayer. "God, if I truly have no one, please show me mercy tomorrow. Don't let evil win." Her words floated into the night air, but little did she know that danger was already moving silently towards her. At the edge of the bush path, the two guards crept forward, their feet barely making a sound. One carried a rope, the other gripped his machete tightly. "Let's finish this quickly," one whispered. "Yes, the chief wants no trace left," the other replied. They moved closer, the outline of Evelyn's small hut visible in the dim moonlight. But unknown to them, Chica, the young servant who had spoken earlier, was hiding nearby. Fear had kept him awake, and he had followed secretly when he saw the guards leaving Chief Morgan's compound. Now, crouching behind a tree, he watched in horror as the men crept towards Evelyn's hut. His heart pounded. "So it's true," They want to kill her tonight. Sheikah bit his lip hard, torn between fear and courage. Then, with shaking hands, he picked up a small stone and hurled it towards the bushes on the other side. The sound startled the men. "Who's there?" one barked, raising his machete. But before they could search, a strong voice rang out. "Leave her alone." The guard spun around. Daniel stood boldly in the moonlight, a long stick in his hands, his chest rising and falling in anger. "You again?" one guard growled. "Yes," Daniel said firmly. "And this time you'll not touch her." The guards exchanged glances, their faces hardening. One sneered. "So you want to fight us for her?" Daniel's grip tightened on the stick. "I will fight with my life if I must." The guards charged. Daniel swung his stick with all his strength, striking one across the shoulder. The man roared in pain and stumbled back. The second guard slashed at Daniel with his machete, but Daniel dodged quickly, the blade grazing his arm. Inside the hut, Evelyn woke to the noise and rushed out, screaming, "Daniel, stay inside." Daniel shouted, but Evelyn refused. She grabbed a broken pestle lying by the doorway and swung it wildly at one of the guards, hitting his leg. He yelped in pain. The fight grew fierce, dust rising as sticks and machetes clashed under the moonlight. Realizing they were losing, the guard spat on the ground. "This is not the end," one growled. Then they fled into the darkness, leaving Daniel panting heavily. Evelyn dropped the pestle, her hands trembling. She ran to Daniel, tears streaming. "You are bleeding." Daniel forced a smile. "It's nothing as long as you're safe." Her mother had come out by then, crying and praying loudly. Neighbors also rushed out, holding lanterns. And when they saw Daniel bleeding and the machete marks on the ground, whispers filled the air. "Chief Morgan sent men again," someone muttered. This time, the whispers were no longer in doubt. They were filled with anger. The cock crowed, announcing a new day in Oakville. But this was no ordinary morning. The entire village buzzed with tension. From the smallest child to the oldest elder, everyone knew today was the day of the cleansing ritual, the day truth would finally speak. Women tied their wrappers tightly, men polished their walking sticks, and children ran barefoot through the dusty paths shouting, "To the square! To the square!" By mid-morning, the village square was packed. Smoke from cooking fires rose in the distance. Goats bleated, and drums beat slowly, their rhythm heavy with suspense. The elders sat in a circle on carved stools, their gray beards glistening with palm oil and sweat. At the center of the square, a small fire burned in a clay pot. Beside it lay a calabash full of native white chalk, and the golden bracelet that had caused so much trouble. Evelyn stood with her mother at one side, her head bowed, her hands clasped tightly. Daniel stood close to her, his arms still bandaged from the night's fight. People whispered when they saw him beside her, but he stood tall, his eyes never leaving her face. On the other side of the square, Chief Morgan and Clara arrived with pride, their heads high as if they had already won. Clara wore her finest dress, smiling falsely at villagers as though nothing weighed on her. Elder Jonah raised the staff. Silence fell like a heavy blanket. His voice was deep, cutting through the crowd. Today, the gods of Oakville will judge between innocence and guilt. The one who lies will not escape. He motioned for Evelyn to step forward. Evelyn's mother squeezed her hand. "Be strong, my daughter." Evelyn walked slowly to the center, her knees trembling. She touched the white chalk, pressed it to her forehead, and lifted her hands. "Before God and before this village, I say this, that I did not steal this bracelet. If I lie, let the ground swallow me." Her voice shook, but her eyes shone with courage. The villagers murmured. Then Elder Jonah turned to Clara. "You too will say the same thing, for your name has been called in this matter." Clara's face paled, but she quickly forced a smile. She stepped forward, pressing chalk to her forehead. "I know nothing about this. Evelyn is lying." She spoke loudly, but her hands trembled and some sharp-eyed villagers noticed and exchanged looks. Elder Jonah lifted the golden bracelet and placed it in the calabash. He chanted ancient words, then dipped a feather into the mixture. "The innocent will drink and live. The guilty will drink and the gods will strike. The crowd gasped. It was dangerous, but this was their way. Evelyn, drink first. Elder Jonah commanded. Evelyn took the calabash in her hands. For a moment, her reflection in the liquid shimmered. Her face. Her eyes were filled with tears. God, if you love me, fight for me. She drank deeply. The crowd held their breath. Moments passed. Evelyn stood firm, her skin glowing even more as the sun hit her. Some villagers shouted, "She is innocent." Others clapped, while her mother fell to her knees, praising God. Now it was Clara's turn. Her lips trembled as she took the calabash. She looked at her father, Chief Morgan, who nodded firmly, but sweat glistened on his forehead. Clara raised a drink to her lips. The moment the liquid touched her tongue, she coughed violently. She staggered, dropping the calabash, spilling the sacred wine on the ground. Her eyes bulged, and she clutched her throat. The crowd gasped, rushing back. Some screamed, "The gods have spoken." Clara fell to her knees, shaking, her voice breaking. Please forgive me. I planted the bracelet." The square erupted in noise. Some women shouted, "Ah, we knew it." Others screamed, "Shame." Elder Jonah's staff struck the ground. "Silence." Clara sobbed openly now, her words spilling out. "Father told me we wanted Evelyn gone forever. We hid the bracelet." The villagers turned on Chief Morgan. His face hardened, but his legs trembled. Murmurs grew into angry shouts. And for the first time, Chief Morgan's pride cracked. Elder Jonah raised his staff high. "From this day on, the truth is clear. Evelyn is innocent. Chief Morgan and his daughter have brought shame upon Oakville." The crowd erupted, chanting Evelyn's name. Some people rushed to hug her mother. Others stretched their hands to touch Evelyn's as if her innocence made her holy. Evelyn herself fell on her knees, tears of relief running down her cheeks. Daniel bent beside her, whispering, "I told you the truth would come out." She looked at him with trembling lips. "Thank you, Daniel. You never left me." The square was still shaking with noise. Men shouted, women clapped, and children ran about chanting Evelyn's name. But at the center of it all, Chief Morgan stood frozen, his staff trembling in his hand. For years he had ruled Oakville with power and pride. But now, his secret had been dragged into the open. One bold villager stepped forward, pointing at him. "Chief Morgan, you tried to destroy an innocent girl." Another shouted, "You called yourself our leader, but you are nothing but a deceiver." The crowd's voice grew louder and harsher. "Shame on you. You are not fit to lead us." Chief Morgan's face turned red with fury. He slammed his staff on the ground. "Silence! I am still your chief," he roared. But the crowd only grew angrier. Some women spat on the sand. Some men raised their sticks, while children chanted mockingly, "Thief's father, witch's father." Clara was still on her knees, her face streaked with tears. "Father, forgive me," she whimpered. But Chief Morgan glared at her, his pride too wounded to care. "You fool," he barked. "You exposed us both." The villagers gasped. For the first time, they saw him not as a leader, but as a desperate, bitter man. Clara covered her face, wailing. Elder Jonah rose from his stool, his voice thunderous. "Enough! Chief Morgan, the gods have judged you. From today, you are stripped of your honor. You will no longer sit in the council of elders, and you will no longer lead Oakville." He turned to the villagers. "Let all know, a leader who uses power to destroy the innocent is no leader at all." The crowd erupted in agreement. Some men grabbed Chief Morgan's staff from his hand and snapped it into two before throwing it onto the ground. The sound echoed like a thunderclap. Chief Morgan staggered back, his chest heaving. He looked around to support, but not a single villager stood by him. At that moment, Evelyn, her face wet with tears, stepped forward. The whole square grew quiet. Her voice was soft but strong. "My people," she said, "I never wanted power. I never wanted trouble. All I wanted was to live in peace. You mocked me. You laughed at me. You called me a spirit. Yet I still prayed for this village. Today the truth has come out, not because of me, but because God fights for the innocent. Some women began to weep. Men bowed their heads in shame. For the first time, Evelyn's voice carried more power than the chief staff ever did. Daniel stepped beside her, his arm gently on her shoulder. He raised his voice to the crowd. And I will say this before all of you, I, Daniel, love Evelyn. I do not love her because of her beauty or her shame. I love her because of her heart. From today, let everyone know, she is the woman I will marry. The villagers gasped, then roared with cheers. Some shouted, "It is true love." Others clapped their hands until their palms turned red. Evelyn covered her face, tears of joy streaming down, while her mother cried loudly and danced on the spot. Chief Morgan's legs buckled. He sank onto a stone, his eyes dark with defeat. For years he had mocked others, but now he was the one mocked. Children threw small leaves at him. Men turned their backs on him, and women shook their heads. "You wanted to break her," an elder muttered, "but you have broken yourself." Chief Morgan buried his face in his hands and said, "Oh, how the mighty had fallen." The next day the village woke for the first time in many weeks, not with gossip or fear, but with strange, heavy calm. The echoes of the cleansing ritual still lingered in every heart. That morning, Evelyn stepped out of her hut slowly. The same villagers who once mocked her now greeted her with warm smiles. "Good morning, Evelyn. May God bless you, my child." Some men lowered their heads in shame, unable to meet her gaze, remembering how they had once called her names. Evelyn's heart swelled, but she remained humble. She simply nodded and said softly, "Thank you." Daniel was never far from her now. That morning, he walked beside her to the stream, carrying her clay pot on his shoulder. Children who once ran away from Evelyn now followed her happily, laughing and playing. "See how beautiful she is," one child shouted. "Yes, she looks like the sun," another said. Daniel smiled proudly, his heart filled with joy. Evelyn glanced at him shyly. "You don't have to carry everything for me." Daniel chuckled. "Let me, Evelyn. You carried shame alone for too long. Now allow me to carry joy with you." By midday, women began bringing gifts of yam, oil, and cloth to Evelyn's mother as a sign of apology and respect. The same compound that was once silent with sorrow now buzzed with joy. Meanwhile, Claire and her father, Chief Morgan, remained hidden in their compound. No one visited them, and no one greeted them. Clara sat by the window, staring into the distance, her eyes swollen from tears. Her dreams of becoming the most admired woman in Oakville had collapsed like a broken pot. Chief Morgan, once proud and loud, now sat quietly in his hut, his staff broken, his voice silenced, and the weight of shame pressed heavily on him. As the stars appeared, Daniel visited Elder Jonah and said to him that he wants everyone in the village to be gathered in the village square as he has something very important to say. So the next morning, the village square buzzed again. Word had spread like wildfire. Daniel has something to say. Men left their farms early. Women carried babies on their backs, and children sat on the ground, curious to see what would happen. Even the drummers came with their talking drums, sensing something important was about to unfold. Daniel arrived wearing his finest native attire, beads around his neck, and a small staff in his hand. His people walked behind him, carrying the traditional gifts. The villagers whispered, "What is Daniel planning?" Evelyn, unaware of what was about to happen, stood quietly with her mother at the side of the square. Elder Jonah raised his staff. "Let us hear why we are called today." Daniel stepped into the middle of the square, his voice strong. "Fathers, mothers, and people of Oakville, I stand before you not with fear, but with love. Many of you know Evelyn, the girl who was mocked, called a spirit, and thrown out of her father's house." The crowd grew silent. Some nodded, ashamed of their past words. Daniel continued, "But I saw what others refused to see. I saw her heart. I saw her kindness. And I saw that even when the world turned against her, she still prayed for this village. I love her, not because of her beauty, but because she is stronger than any jewel." Gasps filled the square. Evelyn covered her mouth with her hands, tears already forming. Daniel turned and faced Evelyn directly. His voice shook now, but his eyes were steady. "Evelyn," he said, walking slowly toward her, "before this village, Before the elders and before God Almighty, will you marry me?" The entire square erupted in shouts. Some women screamed with joy, clapping their hands. Children jumped and sang, "Evelyn, Evelyn." Evelyn's mother cried loudly, her hands raised to heaven. "God, you have wiped away my tears today." Evelyn herself stood frozen, her chest rising and falling quickly. She looked at Daniel, the man who had stood by her when the world mocked her, and she felt her knees weaken. With tears streaming down her face, she whispered, "Yes, Daniel. Yes, I will." The crowd exploded into joy. The drummers beat their drums faster, women ululated, and men clapped their hands until dust rose from the ground. Daniel knelt, presenting the kola nut to Evelyn's mother. "Mama, I have chosen your daughter with honor. Please bless us." Mama Evelyn lifted the kola nut, tears dripping on it. "Daniel, my son, you are a gift. May your home never lack peace. May God bless you, my daughter." Daniel took Evelyn's hand, and together they walked to the center of the square. The villagers surrounded them, singing, clapping, and rejoicing. But at the edge of the crowd, Chief Morgan stood hidden behind a tree, his face dark with envy, and his daughter Clara wept silently, knowing she had lost everything. The day for the marriage ceremony finally came. Oakville had never seen such a celebration. From the early morning, the air was filled with the smell of fried meat and aromas of different foods. Women tied their brightest wrappers and painted their eyes with black kajal. Men wore their finest attires, and some even borrowed just to look important. The drummers tooled their place, warming their talking drums, ready to announce joy to the whole village. When Evelyn stepped out her hut, the whole village gasped. She was dressed in a beautiful attire, her hair braided with colorful beads, and a simple coral necklace shining on her neck. "Mama, am I really the one they call Spirit?" Evelyn asked softly, tears in her eyes. Her mother hugged her tightly. "Yes, my child, but today they will call you Queen." Women danced around Evelyn, singing songs of praise for her endurance and strength. Daniel stood proudly in his native attire, with a red cap on his head. His friends surrounded him, singing and teasing. Daniel only smiled, his heart beating fast as he waited for his bride. The elders sat at the front, with kola nut and palm wine placed before them. Elder Jonah raised his staff and said, "Today, Oakville celebrates not just a wedding, but the victory of truth over lies and light over darkness. May this union be blessed." Immediately, the drummers struck their drums, the flutes sang, and the villagers broke into dance. 2 days later, Daniel took her out of that village, and she lived the rest of her life in premium enjoyment. Let me ask you, if you were in Evelyn's shoes, would you have forgiven those who mocked you? Drop your answer in the comments, because your voice matters here. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because more sweet, powerful stories like this are coming your way. Until then, bye.